Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I am briefly going to clear the energy using my gong and my koshi bell before I begin. Thank you. Excuse the wind. There's a storm about to blow in. But I feel in some ways it will help with the transmission of this information. So a little background on what I'm about to share. My QHHT practitioner, Irina Layne, and myself had originally did a session together in Tomball, Texas on September 22nd of 2022. And what's funny is, as in tune as I am with the cycles, I did not realize that I had actually scheduled it for the autumnal equinox. So I realized that was definitely a calling from Spirit in itself to choose that date. I simply chose it because there were a bunch of twos. So during their session on the autumnal equinox, it was incredibly life-changing. And not only had I experienced things that I had never experienced before and healed myself in ways that I had never healed myself before, also giving me the ability to access my gifts in much deeper and more profound ways. But Irina, too, herself had experienced things that she had not experienced before with other sessions. She told me that my session definitely stuck with her. And she had been doing this for some time now. So it was definitely different for her. We both left that moment with a feeling that we did not express to one another until a few months later, or more like several months later. Not until February. But we had both received the feeling that we were meant to work together in some way. We didn't know how, we didn't know why or what, but we both felt it. And we also did not know how to approach each other with this information, with this feeling that we were receiving. So time went on. I was able to access my gifts more, really coming into who I was, standing in the truth of myself in a way I have never before. Definitely more confidence than I have ever had in myself. It was, like I said, a very life-changing experience for me, because I had often made myself small for others because of their judgments. Even though I did stay true to living to my heart, I did often still shrink myself small to not bother anybody, to not step on anybody's toes, and just generally kept to myself. So, because I was often judged for the way that I saw the world, for how I raised my children, for how I felt called to live my life. Ever since I was a child. So, to be so open and have such access to my gifts was a brand new experience for me, and one that I had to learn how to navigate because it was just a new way of being. So, as I did this and integrated my healing over the months, I came into an opportunity to begin to really share my gifts, share my channeling. I made my YouTube channel. I created an Instagram, and I really just started truly expressing myself in the ways that I had always felt true to myself. I do, light language, energy transmissions. I do intuitive drawings. And just, I really go with the flow of spirit of whatever comes to me. So I finally, as I said, got that chance to share that experience with a community that I have felt more accepted by than I ever have in my entire life. And I am incredibly grateful that I have come across this community. So I shared this with Irina about me getting to be myself, getting to channel, getting to open up about who I am on a larger scale and be accepted for it. Something I was not used to. And that's when she shared with me a thought that she had been having, which was, do you want to maybe do a session that answers questions for the collective or for humanity or something of that nature? And I was like, yes, I would love to do that, because I have been feeling called to work, that we were supposed to work together anyways. And I just didn't know how or what we were supposed to do. And that's when she shared with me, I felt that too. And so upon us realizing that we both had that same feeling, that same message, we were just like, okay, obviously this is us being divinely guided to do this. So we proceeded to make the plans with going through with this. I shared it with my community and a couple other outlets with my family. The receptive family, and, said, hey, do you have any questions that you would like to know that involve the collective, humanity at large, and just how to navigate these times that we are currently traversing? And we, of course, collected many interesting questions along the way. And leading up to my session, which we officially made for March 17th of 2023, I had received the message that it was best for me to do a normal session so that I could get really deep into the trance state and really connected to the Akashic records. Because the first time that I had did my session, that was the first thing that I had noticed, was that I immediately had access to the Akashic records. It was like being able to see. It was like a digital library that I could scroll through, and it was just constantly scrolling through, and just, I guess I was picking out all these different pieces of information as it was scrolling by me. And so I knew that in order to get back to that state, I needed to go deeper. And so I was like, well, let's do a personal session first so that I could clear myself, get anything answered that I may need that may help with clearing blockages, and so that I can make sure that I am a perfectly clear channel for this information to come through. And that's what we did. And upon doing the session on March 17th of 2023, we discovered an incredibly unexpected and very interesting life that I had lived in the past. We also connected with beings, a society, a thriving society in the center of the earth. Also other various beings that had been coming to me during my time of these last several months, where my intuition has just been really heightened. So we finished the session, and it was really amazing. Answered a lot of the questions. The session went on longer than a normal session, but that was okay because it was meant to be that way. So Irina went home, and the next day went to work on the recording, and she discovered that the recording had somehow separated itself into two separate parts, and had also cut off the countdown sequence along with other very personal information that we would have edited out anyways. So she shared this with me, saying this is something that has never happened before. And we realized that this had happened for a reason, that we were being guided to share this in two separate parts, because it had separated at just the perfect place where my personal session ended and the collective questions began. So that was really interesting, and how it did that. So anyways, I see that we're being guided to share the collective first, the collective questions first. And then I'm going to finish editing the session that had my personal information in it, so that I could edit out the really personal stuff, and then share what came through during the personal session, because the personal session also had some really interesting information and messages that came through that I feel will be very beneficial for the collective as well. So anyways, before we get into it, I wanted to also give a little background to the images that I have on there. The images I was guided to share were those of these crystal skulls that I have been called to become a guardian of in these last several months. These are crystal skulls from crystalskulls.com. They are charged with the ancient crystal skulls that have been found around the world. They are charged with special ceremonies at special sacred sites around the world, and many different ways. And so they are very powerful conduits of energy, which has only heightened my abilities to really channel and become a clearer channel and receive information and knowledge. So I was guided to share photos of these crystals that I used during my session, because they will help with the refinement of this information and this transmission. They will help with the integration of this information, and they will help with the full download of the knowledge that is received. I was also guided to share the grid that I had created for my session, which I had used to refine the energy, to make myself a clear channel, to make the energy more available. So I will be sharing photos of that, along with the intuitive drawings that I have done over the last few years that I felt will help with the energy received through this session. I also have photos of the sun, really interesting things that came from the sun, and of trees, because I heard that since this is accessing the quantum field, us sharing this information through the internet, through the ethers, that the energy given not only from the crystals and the intuitive drawings, but also from the sun and the trees, will be very beneficial in the receiving of this information. So please make sure that upon listening to this, that you have a comfortable place on where you can sit and listen and receive, and also integrate for a couple of hours, because it's pretty powerful. Also, on a side note, I do know that reality is relative to everyone. So there's going to be information maybe that may not resonate with everyone, and that's okay. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. I will also be posting information down below of Irina's website, so you can contact her for a session. She's very good, very thorough, very professional, and she makes you feel so heard and understood, especially if you have had a life where you often were not heard or understood. She really has a way with helping with this session. It's like a good therapy session. I also in my photos, I included photos of the devices that I had received from my friend Sixtina, that I had bought over the last few years. She makes crystal devices that are very powerful for not only channeling, but also for repairing the grid, and bringing more light to the light vortexes on this earth, through the light workers themselves. So I will also be posting her information down below, should you feel called to check out her crystal devices. They are amazing and incredibly powerful. So here we go. If you have any questions, please comment below and I will gladly answer them. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Did the United States really land on moon?
Yes, they did. This is how they discovered it was an outpost. There are already secret military bases being built and have been built on the moon from our own people on Earth. Because, as I said, it's been mostly abandoned from the original species, and now humans, as they do, are taking it over, given that it is an alien technology.
So, what your advice would be on how we should interact with the moon, or
just do not worship it, but you can still marvel at it and look at it. It is a beautiful object in the sky, and there is no changing its effect on the water molecules within our physical structures. So we will
always still feel its effect, also because of the gravitational field that it has created. But just do not give your power away to it by giving it more power than yourself. It's still okay to look at it. It's still okay to see it as beautiful.
What energy forms should we use for our homes and transportation in order to transition to free energy?
Magnets, crystals, water, solar energy, accessing the energetic fields around the earth. The magnetosphere contains a lot of energy that can be harnessed. We need to start looking into, well, we are, but we need to start making more public the information brought through by Tesla, the free energy. This is what will help bring us more in alignment, not only with the planet, but with ourselves. But it will also help to ensure that there is energy on an equal level for all, that no one has to pay for, because energy should be free for all beings who seek to use it, especially in the means of providing comfort or survival, such as powering homes, providing light, and other means, technologies.
Do you see when we will develop any of these?
A lot of it is being developed now. It's just being greatly suppressed by the current energy companies in power, the oil companies, the nuclear fusion companies, ones who are greedy with deep pockets. They don't want to let up on their current ventures, even though it destroys the earth, even though it hurts the humans. Once their structure falls, it will be much easier to obtain this energy. But until then, the best way to find it is by connecting with community, like-minded community, people who know people who experiment with these things and use these things in their own properties. It's best to go to community and stop depending on the higher forms of government to provide this to us, because they will not, because they do not profit from these free forms of energy. This will be found amongst the people themselves, community.
Thank you very much for this information. I also have a question. What is the new Earth?
The new Earth is a vibrationally different Earth than the one that we had become accustomed to. That we are halfway there. We're almost there. It's like forming a Vesica Pisces at the moment, where they are overlapping in the middle, but the outer edges do not touch. Like two circles that overlap in the middle. It is a vibrationally different existence, dimension, because as we awaken and as we heighten in vibration, we began to understand the nature of dimensions and how we can manipulate them and how we can manifest them and how we can easily change our timelines. Thus, being aware of this, and with so many experimenting with this new form of technology, conscious technology, we are creating a new earth as a result. If that makes sense. The vibrational differences. It's a lighter density, so naturally the lighter densities will begin to separate from the heavier densities, thus creating a new plane of existence, a new earth.
How to enact these favorable timelines?
Through thought, intention, creating portals. You create portals through your heart. You feel what you want deeply. You see in your mind's eye what you want. You create a circle in midair, either with your arm, or you can use a crystal to enhance the vibrational frequencies. And you continue to make the circle over and over and over again as you say your intentions out loud, as you feel the intentions in your heart, as you visualize these intentions, and you jump through. It may feel silly at first, but this enacts the jumping through of the timelines.
How often you can do that?
As much as you want. Just be sure to listen to your body, because it is an exertion of energy, and we must always recover first before exerting so much energy.
What is the next step that we need to take to achieve what we design to do, when we do cross over that, like cross to that next step? What happens to us?
1,000 years of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Once we achieve that step in evolution, and we have overcome the fear, the war, the separation, and we have achieved balance, and we have achieved being in a place of non-judgment, we will have 1,000 years of peace. I even hear this from Adama Telos. He's saying he agrees. He's saying this is correct. Jesus, too. He is here, and
He's there right now?
yes,
Oh,
and he is showing me that dream, well, that experience, the message of when he opened the portal above my womb. That was him showing it's a multi-layered message, a multi-dimensional message, but that once we achieve that next step in evolution, we will have a clean slate for the 1,000 years of peace.
any advice on how to achieve that next step?
We just have to continue holding the space. We have to continue heightening our vibrations and doing the coming together in community, being more compassionate, more empathic towards others, being non-judgmental, non-polarized, eating higher vibrational foods, interacting with the plants more, talking with the plants more, hugging the trees more, being in nature, sun gazing, and going to like-minded communities, and making these changes in our lives as well, because when we make these changes in our personal lives, they echo out like fractals in the universe.
I have a question about Jesus. Is he Atlantean, Venetian, or Pleiadian?
Palladian.
He's Pleiadian?
Yes, but it does all tie into the Atlantean timelines, because he came shortly after the fall of Atlantis. He was one of the emissaries who went around the world to spread the knowledge of Atlantis, reminding people that they themselves were God, that God was in them, that they were the ones who had the power within themselves. He taught them how to bless their foods, their oils, how to be sovereign, how to be their own God, in other words. And this angered the hierarchy at the time, the ones in Jerusalem, where he was crucified, or in those areas, the Holy Land. He angered the hierarchy there because he was teaching the people to be free. They did not want the people to be free. He was often using an Atlantean tool, which was a cross that measured the stars. It measured spatial objects, and to teach the people the lesson about how to not see, so that people would not seek that knowledge. They hung him on that cross as an example to the people, as to never pursue that knowledge, or else you would be crucified. That is why he was hung on a cross. It was to basically instill fear in the people about seeking knowledge, seeking truth, to keep them from seeking truth and knowledge that comes from within themselves.
Why is he coming more and more into the collective awareness at this time?
Because it is time for us to come into our full power once more. It's sort of a same situation, different time, where we are learning once more that we are our own gods within ourselves, that we are free, that we are sovereign, that we have the power and ability to do everything that he did, that we are powerful. And since this is reawakening within humanity once more, that consciousness, that energy is coming back, and that is why he is coming in stronger and stronger to help assist us along the way. But since he does not want to influence through words, he often, when he does show himself, doesn't say anything to those that he shows himself to. He just simply shows and supports and infuses light. His messages often come through synchronistic events and through other people interpreting the energy that he is sending to them.
Thank you very much for this information. What is the shift?
The shift is shifting vibrations, becoming more vibrationally heightened. We are becoming lighter in density, so because of that, we are shifting. It is just a play of words, really. The sun herself is shifting, the earth is shifting, because as humanity is awakening and we are taking in more and more heightened vibrations, and our consciousness is expanding and we are becoming more aware, it is echoing out as the fractals in the universe, and it is beginning to affect all around us, everything around us. That is why the earth herself is awakening. That is why the sun herself is awakening. All planets in this solar system. That is why we have become the biggest show on earth, because it has drawn a lot of interest from many species, because not only have all species been through evolution like this in one way or another, but because of humanity's emotional state and complexity, we are creating more of a ripple than even some of the most advanced extraterrestrial societies. So it is attracting attention far and wide.
And what happens to us and the earth as we shift?
It appears to be chaos, but it's not. Weather changing, earth shaking, volcanoes erupting, people having mental health crises because they're not understanding, because they were always taught otherwise. But it appears as chaos, but it's not. It's simply just it's the chaos before the balance. The trauma coming forth to be healed that has been instilled on us from years of suppression. It is just us rebalancing.
Is the shift the same as event and revelations?
Yes, because we are having the truth of who we are revealed to us. We are discovering revelations of all kinds.
Will there be like a grand solar flash event?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that? How exactly this event gonna happen?
X-class flare will frazzle the electrical grids, hence the reason why we are feeling more and more called to go ahead and move out to more nature and less cities. So to protect ourselves, it's sort of having this intuition is a survival mechanism as well. But it is going to be an event that fries the electrical grids, thus creating chaos. But if you are prepared, you will be just fine. Most people will be just fine. It's just adjustment.
Do you see when it's more likely to happen?
Same time frame.
23, 24.
Yes.
Okay. Um, do you have any advice for people on how the best to prepare for something like that?
Best thing you can do is become as self-sufficient as possible. Grow your food, live outside of the cities, have a home run on free energy such as solar energies, backup batteries, generators, underground wells, rainwater collecting systems, and also as the monetary systems will shift, it is best that we have a backup plan for that in the beginning, such as having a stock of precious metals or cash on hand in safes for the first part, and but what will go most the furthest is having your own established crop of food, or learning a trade or skill that can benefit many. You can go out and barter and trade with your knowledge and skills, or with the extra food you have grown, the extra eggs you have, the extra honey you have.
How can we navigate this quickly changing financial landscape so we're not that affected?
Make sure, say kind of the same thing, just make sure to have cash on hand for the first part. Maybe some precious metals such as gold, silver, to use for trade, and a system of growing your own food, or raising your own animals that create milk, lay eggs, bees for honey. Things like that will help to make the transition much easier if you already have everything you need. And then you also have an abundance to share with others and trade as needed for items you may not have and that others have.
What about those is money in banks or stock markets?
It's collapsing.
So if people have any savings, what's the best
Take
way?
the money out. It's best to put it into safes, keep it on your property, because it will come in handy when everything first collapses, because then it will still have some value as we change. People will still be open to the idea of taking money at first if you have cash in hand.
Okay, thank you for that information. Do people who are not on this spiritual ascension path feel this energetic shifts going on, or they unaware of it?
They are unaware of it, but they do feel it, and it is expressing itself as either illness, what they believe to be illness, because they continue to go to doctors who tell them it is, or it expresses itself as an actual illness because they do not know how to move it, how to properly process it, but they do feel it. They feel it as either illness, aches, pains, or even emotional upsets. but they don't relate it to the shifting of the earth. Though there are those who are on the in-between. This is what I call the 3 waves of awakening. The energies of Tote, Isis, Bastet. It was not just singular people, it was groups of people in the 144,000. Tote brings knowledge for the awakening, the knowledge of how to navigate, how to awaken, how to become more enlightened. Isis, the mother, she comforts, she brings comfort as we transition and are finding ourselves afraid or unsure. She brings comfort. Those groups of people will bring that mother comfort. And Bastet, the ones who are on the fence, who see something is happening, have a somewhat of a belief in it, but are still stuck in the system of having to work all the time or feeling like they're always stuck. They, once they awaken, they are the 3rd wave. They will be the ones who help with the rebuilding of home. The 3 waves of awakening.
Will we have a full disclosure in this lifetime?
Yes, but from within.
Can you tell me more?
Not only from channelers and contactees, but also us hybrids awakening and remembering who we are. Because the hybrids, we ourselves, are also extraterrestrials. We have the extraterrestrial DNA, and that will be where the biggest disclosure comes from. It's just finding how to safely test the DNA so that others can come forward and feel safe and heal.
I have a question about the Sphinx. What secrets does the Sphinx contain?
The knowledge of the truth of humanity. It's where it has that chamber under the left paw, the tunnel that leads to the chamber, the sound chambers of Tote, where he transcribed his knowledge onto the emerald tablets and into the walls. It is shaped like a diamond. There, the Sphinx will have a major role in helping us to understand the truth of ourselves, and it will also be the catalyst of the full crumbling of these hierarchical structures that try to keep us under control.
Can we find a crystal skull there?
Yes. That was part of Atlantean technology, and Tote, having been involved with the Atlanteans, he had one which he left in that chamber to be discovered at this time.
Where is the sound chambers of Thoros located?
It is the tunnel leading to it is under the left paw, and it's further underground, under the Sphinx, going kind of towards the back of it. The tunnel will lead you right to the door. It has to be activated through sound. Once you come upon the entrance to this chamber.
How do we activate the Sphinx to discover this information?
With sound, toning, singing, the opening of our throat chakra, the throat singing in frequencies of 432, 528, and 657. But also in toning and singing and throat singing, the intentions in one's heart must be clear and pure. You must make sure your heart chakra is clear and open. They work in tandem. Also with the pineal gland. But the throat chakra is the activator of the entrance.
Okay, thank you for this information. Is there any other information the collective needs to know right now about anything?
So far, we are all on the right path. We need to remember not to get distracted and not get so caught up in the small details of life. The stories, while the stories are important, we should never let them take us over to the point that we forget the bigger picture, especially when we are dealing with stories that involve government or hierarchical structures, because they put these things in place to keep us fighting, to keep us stuck on the details, to keep us distracted from the bigger picture. The educational systems, the monetary systems, even the food system that is regulated through government control. While they do serve their place, they will not be like they have been for very long. We just must focus on love, compassion, community, sharing of ideas, holding space for those who are in pain and hurting, because they are the ones who need love the most, while still making sure that we do not allow ourselves to be hurt by those unwilling to change. It is okay to have boundaries in place. You can still hold space and love someone or something without having to interact with them if their energy is that of a draining force. But still love them from afar.